right, so we're on air. Hey everyone, my name is Scott Engler. I'm a published author and speaker, thought leader on career transition, really advancing in your career, job search strategies in our contemporary economy, and professional branding, LinkedIn specialist. Wear a few different hats. Anyway, today I want to talk about how another one of my hats has applied to a really important topic for the majority of people that I work with individually, who are currently working, but they're at a job that is just no longer working for them. So the topic's why leaving even the most toxic work environment can be so incredibly difficult. Now, if you have found yourself at a job and you've been there for a long time, and I mean, this is something I talk to people very frequently, and like I said, most of my clients are have been at the same company for at least a decade, sometimes 15, 20 years is very common, 25, 30 years. And what they've found is that even though they're really able to admit that, like the company, organization, whatever it is just, it's not good anymore, right? It's been really bad, in fact, for a long time. And if anyone has read some of my other articles or read any of my books, particularly my first book, The Job Interview, where I compare the job search process to dating, they may know that I also, my background education-wise is as a mental health clinician. My title was a marriage and family therapist. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because when I'm speaking to people that are in these situations, it's almost always very, very similar, if not identical, to somebody that is in some type of relationship or marriage that has just been very toxic or chaotic or unhealthy for a long period of time, and that person just cannot seem to leave that relationship. But when I give them that analogy, this person I'm talking to, usually, in the early stages of working together, it's like it just hits, right? They get it right away. It makes sense. They're able to see the comparison, which is why, in my first book, I made a whole running theme about it, because it is such a powerful way to make that connection and to have a better understanding and awareness. So if you're listening to this, the chances are that this is you or this has been you. I really want you to just kind of relax, take a deep breath, and understand that it's okay and that it's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong, and just to understand and have compassion for yourself in this situation, right? Because it's hard. And it's hard to look at these things when we realize that we have chosen to stay in these situations despite all the crazy things going on around us. And I've joked, I had this one client, I would joke, but it's really not funny. I said it almost feels like workplace environment has gotten so bad, especially a good portion of people I've worked with are in the US, that it's almost like the standard for what's considered bad has gotten higher and higher. Like if someone's not, it's almost like in relationships, like if you're just hitting someone with your hand but not with a bat, then it's not really that bad of abuse. Like that's honestly what I feel like when I talk to so many people in today's workplace environments, like people that hardly get a bathroom break, working 3 different people's jobs. So many, it's just like ridiculous what's put on so many people now. And it's really disheartening and frustrating. And so here's what's going on there, why it's so hard for people to leave there, is it's like any other addiction or bad relationship. You can't just shake it on your own, right? Especially if you've been there for 15, 20 years, and most of us spend more time at work than we do with our family. It's like, think about all the relationships you built, all the hours and hours and hours of, giving your all, being so involved with your organization. Maybe you had some type of, role where you've worked your way up with the company and you've really, grown and been successful there. And oftentimes when I talk to people, there has been good points at their career. The the job usually was really good at one point. And it's like, that's exactly the same issue with any addiction or unhealthy relationship, is that we want it to be like it was when it was good. But the truth is that we can't, it's not that way anymore, no matter how hard we've tried, right? All our efforts to make whatever it is right just haven't worked out. So the first thing, again, aside from the compassion and understanding, is to just understand also that you can't do anything to change it for the better. It is what it is. Regardless, it's never going to be the way it was. So what I've found, because I've also, when I was a clinician, I would work with a lot of different people of different areas, but addiction was a huge one. I worked with a lot of different roles where I was working with people with addictions, and until the person is able to see that it's an addiction, like the first step is admitting you have a problem, but also to see that it's never going to be the way that they want it to be, and they're able to see how their behavior or whatever isn't it is insanity, the more likelihood they're going to be able to make a change and to move forward, right? So if you're not understanding that this isn't going to get any better, then unfortunately you may have to experience more situations where it's going to get worse before it gets better. If you understand that it's not going to change for the better no matter what you do, then that's a great starting point to make some changes. Now, what I wanted to go over for this one is so when I was a clinician, we learned about the stages of change. And so I want to give some examples on this podcast of what that usually looks like for the people I speak to all the time and work with, and see if you could resonate with any of these stages. So the first stage is there's pre-contemplative, contemplative, preparation, and action. Now, the chances are, if you're taking the time to listen to this on a Monday or whatever day it is, you are not in the pre-contemplative stage, because pre-contemplative, if you think about that and break it down, before, contemplative, considering. So someone, a good example might be someone that smokes cigarettes, right? And if they were in pre-contemplative, sure, they probably, odds are they know that smoking's bad, but they haven't even considered quitting. There's just not, maybe it's crossed their mind once in a blue moon, but there's absolutely no desire there, or very minimal desire. There's really nothing that they're saying or thinking about that is conducive to showing that they're ready to make any type of change yet. Now, if they were in the contemplative stage, what that might look like is they've understood that cigarettes are bad for them, obviously, but they're also considering why it might be beneficial for them to quit now. I've been smoking so long, I can't breathe well anymore, I can't play with my kids, whatever the reason is, they're considering why it really might be a good idea for them to quit. So what that might look like is just talking about it more. Maybe they've started to think about some methods they could do instead of smoking, like Nicorette or e-cigarettes, whatever. But they're in this contemplative stage. Then there's the preparation stage. So preparation for like a smoker would be like, I would say more of a, not passive, but like very, very low active person looking for a job when they're still at their company. So they're not actively looking for jobs every week, but they're kind of dabbling. It's more of like a dabble in a sense. You're kind of dipping your toe in the water. So someone in the preparation, what they might be doing is, let's bring it back to smoking, right? They may be looking into the method they want. Do they want to take a class on quitting smoking? Do they want to, buy Nicorette, that gum that helps you quit? Do they want to see a hypnotherapist? Whatever. They're starting to look at ways of what they could do to actually quit. Whereas, same in the job search, they're probably starting to look at jobs they may want instead. They may apply to one in once a month or something. There's kind of that dabbling, right? They're seeing what else is out there. They're seeing what they could do. They're kind of taking some small actions there. So that's the preparation phase. Now, preparation, if you're listening to this, usually, again, it's like somebody that the company that they're working for, as I say, is no longer working for them. They're aware that for whatever types of reasons, maybe they have a new manager, doesn't work out, maybe they are currently working 3 different roles now instead of just the role that they were hired for. Maybe they're just really not appreciated the same way they were. Maybe the incentives of the company don't really motivate them anymore. They've just kind of hit a ceiling with whatever their role is. There can be so many different things. They're not able to be creative the way they want to anymore. They don't feel as aligned with the company mission and just their role there, right? So they're now looking for ways that they could get back those things that made this job good in the first place, right? So, and a lot of times they may not even know exactly what it is they want. They just know that something isn't right. Just like any relationship, they're like, this relationship hasn't been good. I know it was good at one point. I know that I was in love with my spouse at one point. I can't really remember exactly why it's so far off, but I know I need something different. So I'm going to, consider looking elsewhere or whatnot. So that would be like a preparation. Action is more like somebody that has made a decision, right? They have decided, I am getting the hell out of here. I'm leaving this relationship. I'm leaving this job. I'm looking for a job every week while I'm still working here. I have a plan. This is my priority. With smoking, they've bought the Nicorette gun. They're taking it. They've taken that class. Whatever it is, they've made a decision and they're taking consistent action on it. Now, here is a really, really important point I want to make. Just because somebody makes a decision to quit smoking, does that mean that they're going to actually be successful in quitting? If you thought to yourself no or said that out loud, you were correct. How many people do you know that have tried to quit or break some addiction and they have not been successful at it? So the same goes with an unhealthy marriage or relationship, and in this case, the toxic work environment and why it's so incredibly difficult. Now, I want to drive home a point. All these correlations and analogies that I'm giving you are to illustrate that it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're stupid. I don't know if anyone's ever known someone or been there where you have that wonderful person that keeps going back to that just like jerk or whatever, that unhealthy person, doesn't matter what gender it is, and you're like, how could they do that? Why are they so it's hard not to think like, what are they thinking? Why are they doing that? They deserve so much better. And the truth is, yes, they do, but they're in an addiction, so they're not seeing things clearly, and it doesn't mean that they're stupid. It doesn't mean that there's anything bad about them. That's really what's going on. So it's important to understand that if you are finding that even when you do make a decision to leave this toxic work environment, that it's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, understand that you are in you're in an addiction. It's an addiction. And I really recommend that you consider it the same way. So while it's important to have that acceptance and understanding, start to reach out for outside support. Now, is talking to friends and family a great thing? Absolutely. However, if they haven't been in this situation and don't understand it and haven't, had any success leaving a toxic work environment, I would recommend, in addition to people that you already trust and love that support you, find a professional to help you get out of this situation successfully. Now, that could be a counselor just to help you process things, someone like myself that works with people transitioning out of a toxic work environment and understands the job market and how to brand themselves and what the most effective ways are to transition jobs. Obviously, a great thing to pursue as well. I'm not saying that I'm the end-all be-all, that's the one solution you need. Absolutely not. But what I am saying is it's really important to find a professional that has experience with these sorts of things so they could walk you through that process and help you get through it, because you're going to need the support. Highly recommend reaching out to other people who may have been in a similar situation and have successfully left the company and now are working for a company or in a role that they really like. Draw on their experience, draw on that empowerment there, but don't just stay where you are, because again, that's why it's so impossible. It is like an addiction. Thank you for listening. Have a great week.